The S&P 500 as we all get ready to trade April week 3. We are already upon monthly OpX. Here is an intraday shot of the S&P 500 to start us off. We had a big rally going in futures overnight that took us to a level that would have taken us to, at the time, with the spread at the time, maybe 41.11, 41.12 or so. But we got the PPI data, the producer price index data in the pre-market, and it was a way hotter than expected number. And all of that rally came off, and we wound up opening well off of the overnight high. But immediately, S&P 500 traders took advantage of that and got us back to about here where we set our initial bounce high, but then we pulled back again, and it took us till about noon Eastern time to get out of the initial bounce range, where we sat and just sat sideways for a while. Then we finally made it up to resolving our ES overnight high, and by that point the spread had digressed now to a point where it only took about 41.1086 S&P to resolve and print at the same time with ES 41.0250, where the overnight high and all-time high had been on ES. And as you can see, we sat here for about another hour, and then finally around the last 45-50 minutes of the day, we took off and had basically the whole rally on the day here. We doubled this entire range from the low to taking out and resolving this ES number. We resolved that, we doubled that here at 41.26 and change, looked above that, got all the way up for a look below the plus 10% mark on the year at 41.32, and set our all-time high, our new all-time high, 41.29 and change, and closed at 41.2880, a new weekly and daily all-time closing high. With our high and that little look below the 10% mark, if this is our high for about the next week or so, it makes a lot of sense, because quite often when we get to a big marker like 10%, we take a look below it and fail, or we get to it and we overshoot and go above. And I just don't know that we have the gas in the tank to get above 41.32 unless ES does it for us Sunday night and we come in and we have an unresolved level to take care of. Maybe that's going to be, we're going to have one more day of that. That's been going on several times this week that we just traded. But at any rate, I think that we could have our high end. I bought some April expiration 40.75 puts. Actually, I just bought one of them. I will add another one on Monday if the spirit moves me. But at any rate, I think we're going to get a little pullback from here, and this is why. Here's my thesis. Let's take a look at the calendar. As we get into the week that we are about to trade, here's where we just left off. As we get into Monday and we trade through the day on Monday, at the end of the day, we're going to be facing the CPI data in the pre-market. This is way more market sensitive. The consumer price index, we got the PPI, the producer price index on Friday, and it took us down in pre-market, though and it slowed us down for quite a while on the day. But the CPI is going to be a lot more market sensitive. People are going to get really spooked if this is too hot. So I think that we could have a down day on Monday, and even if we come in a little strong in the morning, I think that we will roll over. And I honestly think that we're going to have a nasty little sell-off in the afternoon on Monday ahead of this CPI data. And if this CPI data is hot, we're going to continue lower on Tuesday morning, but we might see a bit of short covering at the end of the day on Tuesday, because as we go into Wednesday pre-market, we kick off earnings season with JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. Okay, and then as you can see, as the month goes on, the week after next, we have IBM, Netflix, Apple, and Intel reporting. And the final week of April week 5, we'll have Google, Tesla, Facebook, Amazon, and we have a Fed meeting that week. So it really seems to me that this week we have a really good opportunity here to maybe get some selling done, because I think that we'll see a lot of short covering ahead of these other earnings reports as we get into the week after next. So this really seems like the time to thread the needle and get some selling done. As we went out on today, Friday, the volume leader on the call side for the April expiration are the 41.50s. The volume leaders on the put side, take your pick. I settled in here at the 40.75s, but there was lots of volume in the 80s, the 4100s, as well as a big batch working down here at 40.50. So let's take a look at where we might pull back to if we do indeed start a pullback next week. Well, first of all, let's talk about it quickly, because if we do go a little higher, I think what's going to stop us for sure would be the median line. That comes in at 41.70 on Monday, and that would be that overshoot of the 10% mark. I think that would be about as high as we can get, 41.70, a look below 41.80, a play out of the 80 handle rule. I say we fail before we get to 41.80. That would be the max that we would get to next week. But if we start to pull back, we're going to be heading towards, let's take a look at the roadmap, because I think the roadmap gives us a better, some better directions here. I have to change this level here. The all-time closing high is up here where we were today. But our first level that we're going to pull back to would be Friday's halfway back at 41.12 and change. That's like around where the ES overnight high had been on Thursday. That actually ends up being a little lower than this. But if the spread were to widen again, then this would end up lining up to that. So we look back to this, and if this breaks, the rule tells us we test the low from Friday, and Friday's low was a little look below 4100 to 4095 and change. If the 80 handle rule plays out here, where we've taken a look above 4100 and we wind up coming back to and failing to hold 4100, then our next point of reference is 4080. That's the halfway back of the week we just traded. And if 4080 goes down, our next level is the halfway back for the month of April. If this high that we traded on Friday stands as our high for April for now, then the halfway back for the month is at 4061. So that's a total playthrough of the 80 handle rule levels. And look what's coming up quick on our heels here into the 4060s. By Monday, I think the 10-day will be around maybe around here, around 4050. Maybe it's moving faster than I'm giving it credit. Maybe it will be all the way up here, just below 4060, and by Tuesday it'll be shooting through this level. So if we come down here and test and hold and bounce off of the 10-day, but then get that CPI data on Tuesday morning and come in weak, I can see us gapping down to open below the 10-day, and if that happens, then we're going to fall all the way down here to test where last week opened up, 4034, and of course if we broke the halfway back of last week's range, then we're going to be going to test the low of last week's range. And if we break below that, then we have a gap that would take us back to 4019.87, where we closed at a previous weekly all-time closing high in April week 1. And our 20-day simple moving average is going to be coming up in here, so maybe by Tuesday, Wednesday, it's going to be around in here. So I could certainly see a pullback through this gap and maybe down in this black space here between where this gap fills and where this next gap starts and where the 20-day simple moving average is. I think that would be probably the most, maybe a pullback all the way to 4,000. I think this market's probably going to try and toe the line and show support at 4,000 going forward, because maybe there's lots of short ES contracts that are going to get tracked below here, and you know the drill on that. They just love to do that to people, overzealous shorts. So that I could certainly see that setting up as a way that we go. Of course, if we do trade a little higher and we go all the way up to that 4070, then the halfway back for the month of April is going to change. If we only go up maybe a little bit, you can see that maybe the halfway back for April would move up right in line with these two lows that we set this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Remember these two really tiny ranges? We had a huge breakout on Monday after the long weekend, and then we sat sideways for 2 days and then broke out once again. Well, if we traded just a little bit higher, then the halfway back for the month of April would move up to here. And that would, definitely give us a place to pull back to. And if that breaks, like I said, come down here to the 10-day, fill the gap, maybe even test down to the 20-day. Okay, that's it. I hope this video helped you out and didn't confuse you. If you have any questions, just shoot me a direct message. As always, good luck and good trading.